What's up guys, I'm back like I never left. In this video we're going to be talking about a workhorse Hyliion stock. I'm also going to be covering the major stocks that we've been watching for the past week. There's been major news that came out that affected the stock prices significantly. I'm going to go in detail, specifically talk about these news and what could potentially happen within the next few weeks, next few months. We're also going to be covering exactly the price point levels that we can use if we want to get involved in these companies or potentially set out of our positions, guys. So I'm going to be covering in detail specifically on Hyliion stock, the lawsuit, on Workhorse stock too. They have really big news that came out today that slightly affected the stock price to sell off to the downside, guys. So I'm going to cover all this important information coming up. Alright guys, so before we get into the video, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you have any questions, any comments, make sure you drop in the comment section below, guys. Before I go over and talk about Hyliion or Workhorse breaking news, I just want to quickly go over xpeng. This is the latest super hot EV stock. It rose 41% on its first day trading day. As you can see over here, the stock just recently IPO'd and it really shot up to the upside. It was up 41% to the upside. They are looking pretty good, especially when they IPO. When they're expected to IPO at $15, the stock price actually went and it rose up 20% higher and it opened at $21, above $21, and it closed yesterday at $21.22. So the other company also that we talked about that have a breaking news today was NIO Stock. NIO Stock was skyrocketing to the upside. As you can see, it broke out significantly, went to above $20. Now it's pulling back today. It's down 6.94% in the after hours. This is mainly because the company is planning to dilute and potentially offer more shares to raise capital. So as you can see, that NIO is planning to offer 75 million new American depository shares, so that's going to help them to raise capital. So if you're somebody that is invested in this company for the long term, it is a good news, even though it might look bad in the short term. But NIO is a company that is really struggling with cash flow, even though in their earnings report they said that they have solid cash amount right now for them to fulfill their orders and to let them last for like at least a year and a half. When their stock prices definitely rise up, they're taking advantage of it and raising money that they need, so that is going to eventually make the company to do more, expand. And if you're somebody that's invested in this company in the long term, when you look at the price action, it might make the stock pull back to the downside a little bit, but just holding this company for the long term, this is really solid thing to look at. So they're going to be proceeding with that specific offering, and they're going to be adding an additional 75 million shares. So that is the major news that came out for xpeng and NIO Stock. But now let's talk about the major news that you guys wanted to talk about. This is for Hyliion stock, guys. So as you can see over here, there has been an investigation that started, and it is basically alerting shareholders that there's an ongoing investigation going on by this law firm. Mainly, they are possibly investigating a breach of fiduciary duty and other violations of law by the board of directors of the Taurus Acquisition Corporation. So let's go over what this investigation is all about. So they're going over whether Shell board acted in the best interest of Shell public shareholders in agreeing to the proposed transactions, whether the board was fully informed as to the valuation of Hyliion, whether the deal's equity split is fair to Shell holders, and whether all information regarding the valuation of the transaction is fully and fairly disclosed to Shell public shareholders. So this is the main thing they're investigating. So when it comes to the merger, me personally, I don't think it's going to affect it. The maximum worst thing that can happen is they might potentially postpone the merger date from mid-September. They might make it to like maybe end of year, maybe in 2021. You never know, but that's like the worst case scenario. But I do not believe that just because they started an investigation that they're going to be canceling all of the merger dates and all the deals that they made. So I do not believe that. They might pause it and maybe they might wait for the end of this investigation to start, but I do not believe that's going to happen. That's like the worst case scenario. So also, when you look at the price action for when this news came out, it was yesterday. Really, it did affect it slightly to the downside, but I'm not specifically saying that the sell-off that happened yesterday was because of that news, because the stock was already up significantly higher. It was due for a pullback and it pulled back, but today everything went back to normal. We're up by 2.7%. So really, just because an investigation just started, that does not mean that is going to stop everything what this company does and the deals that they made. So I don't personally believe that's going to affect it, and we'll see what's going to happen. So as I said, the worst case scenario is that we might postpone it. And also, when you look at the stock price, the price level that I'm looking at for the stock to eventually stay above, for it to really be healthy, is if it goes above and stays above the $35, already broke out and is staying above that price point. So it's super healthy right now. So the trend is still to the upside. It still broke out, and we're still going to continue to go higher, I believe, within the next few days, because the anticipated merger is going to be in September, and we're already on September, like next week. So we'll see how it's going to happen, but I don't think this is going to significantly affect it. And there has been a lot of lawsuits and a lot of things happening with other major companies. When you look at like NIO Stock, SRNE, they've been experiencing lawsuits happening. They're being investigated by like maybe if they scammed it or not. But the stock just continues to go up in the short term because of the positive news, and investors really, if they react, you're able to see it in the stock price. So the main thing that we can trust is the stock price, and the stock price is telling us that the news has been digested and it's just trending to the upside. So that is the only thing that you can learn. And just because this shareholder alert investigation is going on, that does not mean that the board members actually did something wrong. We still don't know the results of it. To just be aware. That's why it's a shareholders alert. So you basically be aware that there's going to be investigation going on, and we'll see if there's going to be something that might develop in the future. So just be aware of this situation that's going on right now. Let's talk about Workhorse stock too. So one of the major news that came out for Workhorse stock is Workhorse drops on reported horsefly drone flaws. So as you guys, I made a video about the Workhorse drones. You guys can go check it out. You can also check out this video about Workhorse drones horsefly in action. As you can see, their drone is kind of legit, but unfortunately, as you can see, Workhorse stock actually traded to the downside, mainly because the customer said that their drones really had lots of flaws, and they need to do a lot of upgrades for them to actually be practically used in their working environments. So the firm, the Unmanned System Operation Group, says the product has critical flaws, including poor navigation, software, and construction, which meant the drone was not flyable. So that's a bummer, because we saw on the video they said that it's working pretty good. They've been testing it out. We got some clients. There are some people that were getting their deliveries from the drone. We saw a video about that a few days ago. I'm going to post a video about it right now too. So everything seemed kind of working pretty good, but of course I've also had a few people in the comment section talking about how it's kind of not a good idea to do that. A lot of maybe kids might throw stones at it. If it's raining, if it's snowing, that can definitely affect the drone. There's still some of those things that we need to take into consideration when it comes to the horsefly drones. When you are trying to develop something that is brand new, there's going to be hurdles on the way. So at least Workhorse is trying to be the first, trying the drones, deliveries, and things like that. But unfortunately, they're still a little bit behind, so they're still working on it though. That is good to know, guys. But when you look at the price action for a Workhorse stock, the area that we're looking for is for the price to stay above the $15 area. It's just really, there's a great support over here, and the stock is just really respecting that price point. So if it just stays above that price point, that is really good. And if it pulls back to $15 for somebody that wants to add to your position, that's really great. Really, the news came out today, it might drag this stock to trend to the downside a little bit. It was down minus 2.18%. And if you're somebody that wants to buy into the position, really you can just wait for it and to go down a little bit to $15, or you can just buy in right now by risking the $50 area. But as you can see, once the news develops, once more major progress about the USPS contract, other important news when they come out, I believe we can definitely expect to go to at least $22, and of course eventually go above that if they get the full $6 billion contract from the USPS, guys. So but in the short term, we're looking at it, the $15 area support. If you want to add it to your position, you can definitely wait for the stock price to go to $15, and this is going to be the major support. If it breaks down below that, then that's going to be questionable in the short term, guys. So that's going to be the major updates for these companies, guys. We also had a major news that came out for BLNK charging. As you can see, it has been going to the downside a lot. We talked about it a few days ago, like $8 would be the ideal price point to get involved in it, but it broke down because of some articles that came out that really talked bad about some of the charging station that BLNK had, and they're really broken and they're really bad. And the CEO came out a few days ago, talked about exactly the firm or the people that wrote that hit piece, you might call it, to really make the stock price go down, since they have a short position on the company. That is why they specifically did that. But the company, the CEO talked specifically that they're not in charge of those charging stations located in those areas where their charging station were broken or not working. What BLNK does is basically provide the tools and the charging stations. They build a charging station, but they don't manage them. So that's why they're not responsible for how people manage their charging stations in those specific locations, so that's what he talked about. And eventually this stock really tried to bounce back to the upside right now, but it's still consolidating at $7 area. I like this stock if it can stay above $8. If it breaks out of the $8 area and just starts to continue, maybe that is a great price point to get involved in it. But in the short term, it's kind of trending to the downside. We'll see if there's more news that can develop that can make the stock to spike up again to the upside, guys. So the other company that we were talking about was LPCN. As you can see over here, it's down after hours minus 15.15%. This is mainly because they had an FDA related news that was supposed to come out today, like they're going to announce that the drug is going to be passed by the FDA today, and they're postponed it to another time. So that is really not good for the company. So the stock really took a dump to the downside. So it's now down to $1.40 right around over here. So we'll see how this is going to affect the stock prices in the short term when the next few weeks, until they announce a specific date when the FDA is going to consider and maybe announce that they have approved the drug, but they still have not come and give us a time. So if you're somebody that's still holding the company, unfortunately, you're going to be down like on Monday. So that is really bad. But of course, if it was something that was positive, the stock could have easily went up to the upside. So that's one of the risks when it comes to playing and holding through these FDA related news. Is just either it goes up or down. So it's like an earnings trade. Like when you see earnings, it's always 50-50. The stock can go up or down. Even if good news comes out, the stock might go down. Bad news comes out, the stock might go up. It's really 50-50 gamble. So that is really risky, guys. So really have a plan, of course. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. If you have any questions, any comments, make sure to drop in the comment section below. Make sure you smash the like button. And also, if you want to join the Discord chat, it's gonna be a link available. If you want to sign up for Webull, this is a Webull platform that I'm using right now. I like it a lot. So if you deposit $100 and use the link that's in the description box below, you get 2 free stocks. And also, if you want to support the channel on Patreon, it's going to be linked in the description box below too. But I'll catch you guys on tomorrow's video, guys. Have a wonderful day.